How to build an hourglass figure, step-by-step guide. We're going over which workouts to do and how to do them right so that we can target the main muscles that are responsible for you getting a more curvy, balanced figure. Back, lats specifically, shoulders, and legs, and glutes, yeah, glutes. This is stuff I learned from coaching over 1,000 women, starting here actually, in this very gym, on how to lose inches on their waist and add inches to their glutes. So let's get into it. And I'm gonna explain to you before I go into all the corrections and exactly how to improve this shit. Most of the things I'm gonna be talking about is creating stability so that we can focus on making the muscle work, because the muscles that we're trying to train will not actually change our figure unless we force them to work. And that is how we're gonna do it, is by creating stability for the most part and making it harder and using less momentum. First muscle, shoulders. Whether you don't wanna work on upper body or not, this is one of the things that really starts to give you that shape. Now mine are a little slacking right now, but we working towards it. And I'm gonna show you exactly how we're doing that. There's a few things you don't wanna fall into when you're doing this. And I see it so often when I'm in the gym. I really just wanna fucking strangle somebody, but I'm not gonna do it. And I'm gonna actually use that energy to show you how to do it right. I'm gonna start from the bottom up. First step is get your feet shoulder width apart. When you're standing close, you don't got balance. And like when you start to push yourself, it's gonna be bad. So get you some balance, okay? And another step to take that even further is even stagger it a little bit. This is gonna come into play in a second. Now, what I normally like to tell my clients is pushing their hips back. This is gonna give you more leverage. You're in a more athletic position, you feel stronger, and also, as we start to go, we're not gonna be leaning back and using so much momentum. And now, as we come up, I want you to focus more on your arms being slightly bent and the dumbbells not leading the motion. Instead, your elbows are leading the motion on the way out. And as I come to the top of each rep, I'm actually pointing my thumbs down and keeping my pinkies up. This is just, again, gonna better align the workout with the shoulders. Now, there's ways to do that. If that's too much for you to think about and you're like, oh, wow, I'm just gonna get that shit wrong, cut out the bottom half completely. So sit down. Now you're not going to be using so much momentum, right? Your hips, they can't get involved, right? So you're sitting down, you cut that down. I like to lean forward just slightly and then do the exact same thing. Lead with your elbows. Point your thumbs down, pinkies up. And now as I'm coming up, I'm thinking about dropping my shoulders and like swaying the motion. I'm not thinking about, let me get the weight up. That's when you see this shit. And when you do this shit, like we're not crumping, right? So we're here, we're swaying out. Get it away from you. That's what you want to think of. This is just going to build you the figure that you're looking for. It's going to give you more of that hourglass figure, because if you don't have no shoulders and you like this, you're going to look like a box. This one's a staple. Now, everybody does it, but a lot of people do this shit wrong. So I'm going to show you how to actually do it in a way that is productive to building that hourglass figure. Most of y'all don't have this attachment. I mean, this is, if you can get an attachment like this where it's the mag grips, oh my God, it feels amazing. Your forearms are not going to get involved and you could really just pull and use your hands as hooks. But because most of y'all don't got it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a bar. So again, we starting from the bottom up. So the easiest way to do this is don't bring your fucking hips into the pad. I used to do this myself, but what you're gonna do when you do this is the bar is actually gonna be right above your head. So as you pull down, it's so much easier to get your biceps involved. Like right now, my biceps will be working because I have a small ass angle between my forearm and my bicep, and that's flexing it right there. It's flexing it. So as you go through, you're gonna be working all bicep, right? And we're trying to work back. So the way to fix that is get your knees into the pad, right? If you need to move the actual adjustment, move it. But get your knees into the pad, and now immediately, as I pull down, look at the cable. It's coming towards an angle, which is what we want. Now we're locked in. And again, slightly lean back. I'm a big fan of this. This is, again, just gonna line everything up. Now, as we pull down, make sure that your elbows are tucking in towards your actual hips as you go down. And this is, again, gonna better let you feel your lats as you pull through. I'm not aiming for the bottom of my chest. I'm more aiming like towards my nipples in the middle of my chest. It may look like that. It may feel like that when you're doing it. But if you're used to doing this shit or this shit, which I see some people doing, it's gonna feel weird. Work the muscle. Don't focus on, do I feel it so much? Because if you're working in this motion, your lat will have to work. You'll feel it the next day. Okay, so again, We're coming through. Knees under, lean slightly back, elbows tucked as I come down. I'm aiming towards my nipples, and then I'm gonna control the stretch. The stretch is where most people rush because it's the easier part. Let me just get there because I have to squeeze, right? It's almost the opposite. I'd rather have you squeeze for a second, really just sit there in the stretch. That's the shit that's actually going to get you results. Sit in the stretch, and notice as I'm stretching up, I'm gonna slightly lean forward so that I can extend the stretch as far as possible. And as I pull down, slightly lean back and repeat that process. I ain't gonna lie, I've worked with a lot of women. All of their goals is to build colossal cakes, the dumpy, the fat ass. That's what they're aiming for. So I spent a lot of time on this motherfucking leg press, and there's a reason for it, a method for the madness. I'm gonna show you the checklist on how to build colossal cakes from a single leg press. First one, put the foot down. Now, the second foot, you always want to make sure it's actually flat. So as you come down, you don't want any heels coming up or rising, stuff like that. That's a no-go, right? That's going to actually probably injure you or just make you use too much quads. So we want your foot as flat as possible. Me nitpicking, I would tell her to take her shoes off because those are running shoes. You probably want something like Vans, something flat. But we're going to leave it for now. We always want to make sure that your foot is at the higher portion of this platform. It's going to help you actually align with your glutes a little bit better. As she comes down, go ahead and go down. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for a 90-degree angle here. That is about the biggest stretch that you'll get on your glutes, and that's where you want to be. You're going to be the weakest. It's going to hurt the most once you're at that 90-degree angle. The cue isn't this form. A lot of people do that form where they'll come down and they'll have the 90-degree angle. That's cute. That's fun. But we're not here for fun. We're here for cakes. So what you want to do is actually slow down on the way here. So I'm a big fan of 3 seconds. 3 seconds, then once you get here, stop for 1 second before you explode up. What that does is it's actually gonna, you can go ahead and rack it real quick if you're tired. What that's gonna do is it's gonna force her muscles to actually recruit more muscle fibers as she goes to press the weight up, right? So she's not using any momentum that she could use when she comes down and just swings it back up. So again, it's forced to use more muscle fibers in each rep. Now, if we can make every single rep harder than the last, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, she's not gonna feel that strong, but what she will have, again, is what?
Cakes.
Cakes, exactly. So we're gonna show you an example of what that should look like. Foot high on the platform, 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause, like completely stop, and then explode up strong. 2, 3, and go. One more time. 1, 2, 3, go. Perfect, just like that. For my girls with a little bit of extra in the front, right? I know you're trying to get some extra in the back, but you got a little extra in the front, and your stomach gets in the way as you're doing that. One thing that you can do is actually just point your toes out slightly on the top of this platform. And then as you go down, actually let your knee come out slightly. And that'll give you that leeway that you can use as you go through to do this exercise. I like this as a glute building workout because you don't have to worry about so much. Yes, I told you some forms and things to focus on, but you're not focusing on your balance like you would on a split squat. You're not having to focus on the barbell completely wrecking you on a squat, right? And you're also not having to focus on just a lot of stability muscles, stabilizer muscles having to get involved where you see your knees kind of cave in and stuff like that. Because you can get on this leg press, really focus on just pressing the weight up hard, controlling it on the way down, you're able to actually progressively overload a lot quicker. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, which I will tell you is super important, is don't touch your knees. Don't have your hands here. Don't have your hands here. Have your hands on these handles and pull your body into the actual pad, again, to force more stability, because what does that do? Builds the cakes. Exactly. Yeah, let's go. These exercises, when performed correctly, can truly build the figure that you're looking for. Now, I will tell you, the hourglass shape won't come until you get this one thing on point. What that is it's stop eating like an asshole. It's eating more nutritious food, like actually whole food, shit that comes from Mother Nature. If you don't get that on par, all the stuff that I'm telling you, will not work. I worked with too many clients like my girl Janine, who lost over 35 pounds, was already working out, but didn't understand how to actually prioritize her protein, how to eat more food. But again, it was only eating more food because she was eating stuff that's actually whole food. When you eat stuff that is shitty, highly saturated, highly processed, which is fast food, junk food, all that other stuff, you can eat a lot less, but you can eat a lot more in calories. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother topic, which I will go over coming soon. But again, none of this stuff will work if you don't put in the stuff that we just talked about. Now, I will tell you this. The list of exercises I gave you work on the most important muscle groups. They work your legs, they work your glutes, they work your lats, and they work your shoulders, which is all overall going to be building the top of the figure, and it will be building the bottom of that hourglass figure. It's simple. If anybody overcomplicates it and you're doing stuff where you're jumping jacks, you're doing backflips in between your sets, you're doing it wrong, and that's why you can't grow. If your form isn't on point for the shit that I just walked through, why are you switching up your workouts? Why do you have so much variety? Get the form right, and then let's get strong as fuck with those exercises. Every girl that I'm going to show you right now that has gone through this transformation after transformation after transformation has done it because they did simple shit and got strong as fuck. You're not going to build a fat ass, a dumpy, a figure that looks better than 90% of the population while doing 20 pounds. Like, it's just not gonna happen, right? So force yourself to push yourself, progressively overload, get the form on track, and again, focus on making each rep count, not just getting through the workouts. If this helped, make sure to subscribe. I can't say subscribe. If this helped, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're gonna be posting a lot more. Let's go.